I am a fund manager at Alpha Quest by Taraqi. So Taraqi is a funded startup. It's a funded fintech startup, and I manage their equity investment fund. I'm also a partner at Paratha Capital, which is again into investment advisory. I've trained more than 5,000 students over the past few years in financial modeling and valuation. I love to teach. And I've taught at various institutions, including NMIMS, NSE Academy, which is the education arm of the National Stock Exchange, and a lot of other colleges, right? So this has been my journey. So today I will try to share whatever I have learned so far about how to structure your careers in finance and financial markets, right? So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is that what are financial markets? Like when I say that financial markets may all options are available to you, and then from there we can have a discussion as to how to uh, ensure that you are reaching the place where you want to be. Okay. So financial markets consist of all of these markets, right? So one, there is the currency market, right? So where you can exchange dollars and everything for rupees, etc. And then there is the capital market. So now capital market, can you guys tell me what is the meaning of capital? I'm sure even first year students will know what is the meaning of capital, right? Can I have some answers, please? What is the meaning of capital? So Ekta is saying money required for startups, funds used to start business, stock market. Capital is not stock market, right? Amount invested in starting of business, amount invested in business. Right. So capital is essentially any money that is used to either start or run a business, right? It can be invested in the form of working capital. It can be invested in the form of initial capital, anything, right? So any money that is required or that is being used to run businesses, right? So capital is available majorly in two forms, right? Either capital is available as equity, so the owners of the business put in the money themselves, or it is available as debt. आप loan पे पैसा ले सकते हैं, right, to invest in your business. So capital market, the first division is equity markets and debt market, right? Now equity market is further divided into listed equity and private equity. What is the meaning of listed equity? Listed equity is the equity shares of these particular companies are listed on the stock market and they are available for exchange. That means you, me, anyone can buy these equity shares from the stock exchange, right? It's a public market. You don't need an invitation. Anyone can go and purchase these shares, right? And then there is the private market. What is the private market? Like there are so many companies out there which are doing well, which are good businesses, but their shares are not listed on the market. So there is a private market that exists. What is the meaning of private market? That it is by invitation. Like for example, if I want to sell some shares of Leapup in exchange of some capital or money, what will I do? Obviously, I'm not big enough to be listed on the stock market, right? So what will I do? I will approach the people that I know. I will approach the people that I know and say that, okay, these are the details of my company. Are you interested in investing? And if it's a yes, then I give them shares, they give me capital, and that's the transaction, right? So it is by invitation. It's a private market that exists, right? So all your startups, all your all your creds and Dream 11 and all of those people come under this, which is the private market for equity, right? So there is a lot of investment that also happens in the private equity market. Uh, I think in India for a long time, listed equity used to take away a lot of money and a lot of, I would say, mileage. Okay, in terms of news and everything. But I think over the last few years, the private equity market has really caught up, and I think currently, uh, there is more fancy and more people want to get here than here, right? So coming to debt. Now, debt also, there is a private market for debt and a public market for debt. Public market, against these bonds are listed on the stock exchange and you can buy and sell on those bonds. So there are investors who buy these bonds and there are funds who purchase these bonds, etc. And then there is the private market. Now, what is the private market? Private market, again, is by invitation. It is a contract between two parties that know each other. So number one is loans, right? So you go to a bank and you take loans, or you go to a bank and you lend them money in the form of fixed deposits, etc. Right? So there is a private loan market that exists in relation to banks and NBFCs, right? So that also comes under finance. And then there is a listed private debt also. So what is the meaning of listed private debt? This is the private debt of private, this is the listed bonds, etc. of private companies, right? So you have government bonds which are listed, which is the public debt market. And then you have the listed private debt market, which is the bonds of the companies, right? So in this private loan market, there is also an unorganized market, which is basically called peer-to-peer lending. What is peer-to-peer lending? You giving out money on loan to your friends and relatives. Okay, I'm sure a lot of y'all must have seen that paisa byaj pe dete hai, right? Like you give your money on interest and you get like 10%, 12% interest and all of that. That is also part of the financial market because people are using it as capital, right? But that is the unorganized part, right? So this is the entire scope of finance, right? This is the entire scope of finance. So Deep is asking who issues those private shares? Businesses issue private shares, right? Like businesses like us, businesses like any business that is private that you can see. For example, Dream 11 is a private business. So Dream 11 will issue shares to people who want to invest, right? Okay. So this is the entire scope. Is SEBI a part of it? Absolutely. Even the private markets are regulated by SEBI. Okay. Not only the listed markets. All right. So now coming to what is the structure of any market? Okay. So whether it is equity, whether in equity it is private equity, listed equity, private debt, public debt, whatever, every market, so every subsegment of the market has a basic structure. Now, what is that structure? That structure is that there are buyers, there are sellers, there are intermediaries, there are service providers, and there are regulators. Okay. So in each of these markets, there are entities which do which fulfill these roles, and you can make a career in any of these entities, right? So for example, private equity, in private equity there are buyers, there are sellers, there are intermediaries, there are service providers, and there are regulators. Same way in the listed equity market also, there are buyers, sellers, intermediaries, regulators, as well as service providers, right? So every subsegment, there are these firms which are fulfilling these roles, and you can ideally make a career in any of these firms, right? So let me give you some examples so that you understand who are these buyers and who are these sellers and intermediaries, etc. Right? So we'll take the listed equity market, which is ideally the simplest market for everyone to understand, because you know that there is a stock exchange, NSE, where shares are listed. So intuitively you know what is going on, right? So now, who are the buyers and sellers on the listed market? For example, I think Paytm is coming in with an IPO, right? So Paytm is a seller of shares. Okay, companies are the sellers of shares. They sell these shares in return for capital via an IPO or a FPO or a private placement, right? So companies or businesses are the sellers, and investors, so investors can be private individuals, can be funds, can be mutual funds, can be hedge funds, can be financial institutions. They are the buyers, right? So you can work in finance on the side of Paytm also, saying that I am part of the Paytm corporate finance team and I will ensure that our shares get sold at a good price. Okay. On the other hand, you could be working for any of these funds which say that, okay, I have money to invest, and I will be scouting for good investment opportunities and evaluate if Paytm is a good investment opportunity or not. Right. Then there are intermediaries. Who are your intermediaries? They are your brokers. Okay. Your brokers are your intermediaries. Your stock exchange is your intermediary in the listed market, right? In the private market, who are your intermediaries? They are investment bankers. Investment bankers are the intermediaries. They make the buyers and sellers come together. If Paytm wants to sell shares in the private market, it might be a huge quantum. So how will they know that who has the money to buy? At the same time, a seller, investor might want to invest a huge sum of money. But how will they know that which are the companies that are available? So there has to be a middleman. There has to be a party involved in between which can, match these needs from both the sides. And they are your investment bankers in the private market. Okay. So you have buyers, sellers, intermediaries. Now there are service providers. So for example, if you invest money in the stock market on the listed equity space, there are a lot of services that you have to avail. For example, you need to have a demat account. So depositories is a service that you require. You need a clearing corporation which kind of clears that, every day crores of people buy shares, crores of people sell shares. So the right share has to go from the right account of the seller to the right account of the buyer, and the right amount of money has to go from the seller's account to the buyer's account. So you can imagine how complex the transactions are, right, on a daily basis. So there are separate entities which just look after it, which are called clearing corporations, right? So those are your service providers. For example, in the private market, like if Paytm or if Dream11 or if Cred is coming up with a new round of funding, that is, they're issuing new shares to a new set of investors, there might be legal services required, like, to draft that contract, to do the due diligence that whatever Dream11 is saying about their financials, is it true or not? Right. So all those kinds of services are required. So you can work for these service providers. Okay. And of course, there are regulators. Like I told you, SEBI is the regulator in your capital markets for equity. RBI is the regulator for your capital markets of debt, right? So on and so forth, right? So you can also work for the regulators who frame the policies and who ensure that there is no, illegal or immoral activities happening in these markets, right? So let me give you a list of, entities that are involved. So you have entrepreneurs, individual corporates, okay, individuals, mutual funds, hedge funds, wealth managers, venture capital, angel investors. This group together becomes the buyers and sellers, right? And then you have your intermediaries. So I just told you brokers, investment banks, just normal banks. These are all intermediaries of capital. And then you have your services and regulators. So RBI, SEBI, I already told you. I already spoke to you about lawyers. There are rating agencies. They are a service provider in the debt market, right? Like you would want to look at the credit rating report of a company before you lend money to them, right? So all of this is the scope of finance. All of this comes under finance, right? And you can choose to work for any of them, right? You can choose to work here, 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 here. If you have a lot of money in your family, you can be an investor at an individual level. Doesn't matter, right? So you can make a career in any of these, uh, and be a part of any of the sub segments mentioned over here. Okay. So I hope this kind of clarifies, like, what is the scope of finance, like where all can you work. One thing which I want to mention here, which is a hugely growing field right now, but not a lot of students are aware of that, which is called a KPO. What is a KPO? KPO is knowledge process outsourcing. Okay. So there are processes in businesses which are based on knowledge. For example, let's say I am a mutual fund. Now, if I am a mutual fund or I'm running a mutual fund, and I want someone to evaluate that which auto stock should I buy, right? Now that process of evaluation is a knowledge based process, right? Like the analyst who will do that evaluation needs to understand number one investments, needs to understand fundamental analysis, needs to also understand auto sector valuations, etc., etc. So it's a knowledge driven thing. So now what is happening is that obviously salary and employee costs globally, specifically in the Western economies, are very high. Like if I hire a financial analyst probably sitting in New York or London, they will cost me $1 lakh, which is 70 lakh rupees. Right. So what I can do is instead of hiring 10 analysts under one fund manager over there, I will hire maybe 10 analysts in India and keep one senior analyst over there to take care of the research of these 10 analysts in India. That works out to be much cheaper. So the knowledge process of research got outsourced from US to India. So there are people sitting in India who are researching the US market on behalf of a mutual fund of US or on behalf of a hedge fund in US, right? So this is called knowledge process outsourcing. Now there are big companies involved in this. A lot of these companies also, come to your campus, I believe. Tres Vista is one of them. Then you have, I think, eValueServe is another. I'm not sure if it visits your campus, but eValueServe, Tres Vista, these are the two big firms which visit most of the big commerce campuses in Mumbai to recruit graduates. Okay, so you will be doing actual research, you will be doing actual finance, but on behalf of entities situated in Europe, Japan, or US, or wherever, right? Because the knowledge process is getting outsourced to India. That's a huge opportunity, by the way, right? So that is something that you guys can think of, right? Uh, so Anshul, I'll be taking these questions later on, right? Okay. Uh, Moving on. So, I have been in the field of finance since now almost a decade now. I have friends who are working in some of the best organizations. I run my own ventures. I hire analysts. And what I have realized is that, a successful career requires three elements. Okay. A successful career requires three elements. The first element, I think, which most students are very well aware of, is qualification. Like you need the right degrees to get the right kind of jobs. Okay. So obviously, at a graduate level, you have your BAF, your BFM, your BComs, all of that. Then at a higher level, you have primarily three degrees in India that can get you finance jobs, right? So one is CA, second is CFA, and third is MBA, right? I would not say others will not get you. Like I think if you do a MS in finance, or I think JBIMS runs a course on MSc finance, so you will get. But those are like 5%. Like 95% of finance jobs, if you are looking at higher degrees, like the second level, not the graduate level, it is CA, CFA, MBA. And at a graduate level, it's obviously your BCom, BAF, BMS, any commerce degree, right? So that forms 95% of the qualification requirement. I think most students are well aware of this, right? But that is not enough. I talk to so many CA students, and the basic complaint that I always get is, sir, after doing CA, I'm not getting a finance job. I'm getting an audit job. I'm getting taxation jobs, all of those things, but I'm not getting a finance job. Okay. And my answer to them is just that. Okay, getting the kind of career or the job you want, is not dependent on one factor, but it is dependent on three factors. By clearing CA, you have already ticked one box, but there are still other two boxes to go, which is you need to have the right skill set. Okay. Uh, if you don't have the skill, nobody will hire you, right? And what do you mean by these skills? So these skills can be divided into two. So one are hardcore technical skills, right? Like you need to know how to do stuff in finance. And second is there are softer skills that, you can talk finance with people. Like, you can discuss a stock with people. You can discuss financial markets. That is a soft skill, but a lot of time it is very helpful in your interview, right? So that is something that you guys need to develop. You need to focus on it from now, right? Most of you are first year students, so be very, very mindful that go for qualifications, absolutely, but start developing skills. Okay. And third is you need to have passion. Okay. Like I don't want someone in my office who gets bored of stock markets, right? If you get bored of stock markets, I don't want you in my office, because that is what we do day in, day out. So it is very important that you have to be passionate about markets, finance, stocks, etc., whatever, whichever, market segment you choose. If you choose banks, you need to be passionate about banking. You need to be passionate about lending, seeing like, what are the factors that contribute to the success of lending, what are the factors which are detrimental, etc., etc. But you need to be passionate, right? ये तीन ingredient के बिना, without these three ingredients, it is very, very difficult to get the kind of job that you guys aspire for. And I am assuming, since everyone here is from HR college, my assumption is that you are ambitious, you are smart, you are doing well in your studies, and you want to crack those good roles, right? And cracking those good roles is not only going to be about qualification. Just imagine, let's just put yourself in my shoes, and if I had to recruit a young analyst in my team who will be researching stocks for me, okay, I get a pile of resumes, all of them have CA, CFA, MBA, everything. That is the first criteria. I'm not even looking at someone who's not a CFA level 2 minimum, okay? But what after that? Okay. Or I'm not even looking at someone who's CFA level 1, chalo, like which you can do with your graduation. What after that? So I get like 25 people who are doing CFA level 1 and who want this job. How am I going to determine, or how am I going to really choose after that? The basic question in my head is that who's a better analyst, right? Who has a better skill set? Who is more passionate? Now, the key to cracking these interviews and the key to getting those jobs is not going in the interview and saying, sir, I have all the skills required and I'm very passionate about market. All the candidates are going to say that, right? It is about proving it, like proving it without speaking a word. Let's say you go into that interview and you have done a financial model and valuation for two companies, and you showcase, sir, this is my work, this is what I've been doing, compared to someone who says that I am passionate. When you showcase your skills, when you showcase your work, already before having that job, I can already understand that you have gone out of your way to develop these skills. You are passionate, you have worked on it. You don't need to say it, you have already proven it, right? And that puts you ahead in the race. That puts you one step closer to the kind of job that you want, right? So that is something that you guys need to focus on. Number one, get the right qualifications. I think you're already on your way, but at the same time, start developing skills, start being passionate, right? Like I am assuming if you have cleared your 12th, you are 18 years old, right? At 18 years old, you can open your own demat account. You can invest in the stock market. You can invest in a mutual fund with $100, $200, $500. You don't need big capital, right? If you are passionate, you will already be doing it. If you are not doing it, think about yourself. Like, what is stopping you? The only thing that is stopping you is probably that you don't know. But how does that matter? You can take 100 rupees of risk on something that you don't know. At least you will learn something out of it, right? If you invest 100 rupees in a big mutual fund, at least you know the process of investing. You can track their returns. You can see what is going on. What is stopping you? Most of the times, the thing that is stopping you is the lack of passion, right? And I don't want such people, right? So if you are already 18 years old, you are old enough, you understand basic accounts, you are old enough to start demonstrating your passion, start developing your skills, and already be taking steps to make your career robust in finance. You don't need anybody's permission, you don't need to wait any longer, you should already be on your way, right? Is this clear? Is this clear? Any doubts or queries so far? All right. So if this is clear, now your college has decided that they also want to help you in developing these skills, right? So we are launching a few courses for y'all in order to help you develop these skills. Okay. So first of all, what are the skills that you should be looking to, develop in your undergrad stage? Okay, at an undergraduate level, you should be looking to develop a few skills. So some of them obviously are technical skills like financial modeling, valuation, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, report writing, and one upcoming field which is coding for finance. Okay, so I think since the last 5 years or so, technology has come into finance in a big way. Okay, and this is something that I feel will be a good skill set to have for the next 10 years, right? So not a lot of demand for it now, but this is a future oriented skill set that I think is very relevant to students your age. Okay, so now I'll explain what each of these skill set is, right? Number one, financial modeling. Now, what is the meaning of financial modeling? So financial modeling and valuation go hand in hand. Okay. Uh, Ideally, let's say if I ask you whether I should invest in the stock of Reliance today or not, the answer is, well, that depends on what will happen to Reliance in the future. If Reliance does well in the future, then I should invest today. If Reliance does not do well in the future, then I should not invest today. So ideally, I want to get a very clear-cut understanding of what can happen to the Reliance stock or Reliance business in the future. So I want to project my profit and loss, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow in the future. The exercise of projection of your P&L, balance sheet, cash flow into the future. Like we are in FY22, but you prepare FY23, 24, 25, P&L, balance sheet, valuation, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow for Reliance, that is called financial modeling. And based on those future projections, you say that this is the benefit that I'm going to get in the future. And therefore, it is worth buying at 2000 rupees today. So that is your valuation. Okay. So financial modeling and valuation go hand in hand. Okay. And then there is a third component to it, which is called fundamental analysis. Now, what is the meaning of fundamental analysis? Fundamental analysis is basically जो हम बोलते हैं ना कि analyzing a business. Like, is this business a good business, bad business, अच्छा है, बुरा है, which includes everything. Like, is the sector doing well? What is the sector value chain? Who are the competitors? Does it have more margins than the competitors? Does it have less margins? Is the product superior to competitors? How profitable it is? All your ratio analysis, all your financial analysis, and much more than that. Okay. Yeah, what are the kind of people running the business? Are they capable? Can they make it big? Are they clean? Are they, paisa kha to nahi jayenge, right? All of those things is part of fundamental analysis. right? So this is what research analysts do day in, day out. They fundamentally analyze a stock, then prepare a model and do a valuation. Okay. And then write a report about it. Right. So report writing is also essential as an analyst. Like if you are dreaming or if you are thinking that I want to become a financial analyst. Okay. Analyst job is to analyze data and give opinions. How do you give your opinions? You give them in the form of written reports. Okay. So written reports is something that you need to start developing report writing as a skill. Okay. So just like your idea should be, if you want to become a financial analyst, you analyze a company, you make a financial model, make a valuation, prepare a report on it, and present it in the interview. That's your interview done, right? That has to be the idea, or that has to be the goal. Okay. And then there is technical analysis. So a lot of you would have seen charts. Okay. So let me just show you what a research report looks like and all of those things. So let me just share my browser screen with you all. Okay. And so there is this website called as Trendline. Okay. Okay. Why is this not opening? Accept. All right. Okay. So you have these, you must have seen these price charts, right? So let's say I search for Zomato. Everyone is aware about Zomato, right? So I search for Zomato and everyone must have seen these price charts, right? Something like this, where the price goes up and down and people keep doing some analysis on this, right? Something like these or something like these, right? And people keep analyzing them. So analysis of these charts for the purpose of trading is called technical analysis. So this basically is the price, and yahan pe niche you can see the volume. So this is called price volume analysis or technical analysis, which is primarily used for trading. Okay. And then you have a lot of other data that you can actually analyze about a company and come out with a report. So let me show you what a research report looks like. Okay. So over here, you can see this is a 10-pager report written by an analyst on of HDFC Securities. Okay, so it has background and operations. What are the platform offerings? Then they have analyzed the IPO. So what are the competitive strengths? What is the business strategy? What is the unit economics? Right? All of those things. What is the industry? I told you sector level research, right? So what is happening globally in this sector? All of those things, right? And then you have some internet sector and user behavior in India, all of that, right? What are the key concerns that you have? And then you have your P&L balance sheet and details of that, right? So again, this is not a very detailed research report, but this is okay, right? So if you see, you will get a lot more research reports. Okay. But the idea is that as the analyst, you will be expected to write these research reports, right? And for writing these research reports, you need to have these skills over and above your qualification, right? So I hope it clarifies, what are these skill sets and why are they important, and how does it really translate into an actual uh, job oriented skill, right? So moving on, so at LeapUp, we actually offer courses on all of these things, right? We offer a course on financial modeling valuation. We offer a course on fundamentals, on technicals, on report writing, even coding for finance. Okay. But as of now, with HR College, we are going to offer you two courses. Okay. One for the first years and one for the other second and third years. Okay. So for the second and third years, we have the complete and comprehensive financial modeling and valuation course. Okay. So we are scheduling a special batch for HR college students, which starts on 25th of October and ends on 14th of November. Okay. Uh, what we have is a hybrid format. So what is a hybrid format? Basically, you can watch the video lectures at any time of your convenience on any device. Okay. And then there are assignments. Okay. So the idea is that we want to teach you a practical skill. So you will be making models from scratch. You will be working on real companies, not a lot of theory, not a lot of, uh, uh, boring theoretical lectures, practical that, right from minute one, it will be about, okay, we are looking at a particular company. How do you start making its model? Right. So that is the idea. So during this time, including your assignments and everything, you will be making a financial model of three companies of different sectors. So one is from technology, one is a cement company, and one is a bank. And you will also be valuing them using three different techniques. So one is a discounted cash flow, one is a dividend discounting, and one is a multiples based valuation, which is your PE, PB ratios, all of that, EV by EBITDA, right? So in total, you have 20 plus hours of learning. Okay. Plus you have 2 live doubt solving sessions per week. Okay. So I conduct this course myself. So how this will be structured is you get the videos, you get the assignments, you keep doing it. And then twice a week, we meet for 1 hour each, where I solve all your queries. Okay. So in case you're facing issues, difficulties, queries, questions, etc., I will be there to help you out and complete your models. Okay. And remember, like, it just goes back to the same thing that if you are looking at those, competitive finance jobs, you walk in with a model, you walk in with a valuation, you have an edge, right? That's the whole idea. The course ends on 14th of November. Okay. So it will be ending before your exams, obviously. However, you will still have access to the entire course and material for 6 months, because we know that your placement seasons are coming, right? Like post your Diwali break and all the, companies will come in case you want to refer the content of the course again. So you will have access to our learning portal where you can access all the learning videos, all the assignments, all the solutions, as well as the recording of all the live doubt solving sessions that we have. So all of that will be available to you for 6 months till you pass out and get a job, right? And in addition to that, there will also be bonus content. So bonus content will focus on, so you will get the bonus content once the course is done. But after that, there are advanced modeling and valuation topics, like how to value a startup or how to model a merger and acquisition, right? Those kind of contents are in the bonus content, because first you need to know the basics. So once you know the basics, you will also get access to the bonus content and everything, right? So this is how the course is structured, and this is one thing that we really recommend for all second and third year students. Third year, obviously very helpful directly in placements, and second years, in case you guys want to try out internships and everything, again, this will be something which will be beneficial. Whether he is asking, will the financial models be predictive? Obviously, there is no financial model which is not predictive. You project the financials for the next year, next to next year, year after that. Without that, it does not happen, right? So this is course number 1, which we are offering for the second and third year students in association with HR College. You will get a joint certification with HR College and LeapUp, right? And the next is finance and investment bootcamp. Okay. Now, finance and investment bootcamp is specifically designed for the first year students. Okay. It is taken by Mr. Ashek Clerk, who again is an experienced finance professional. He works with Edelweiss, and he works in their wealth management division. So he handles a lot of HNI clients for them. Okay. And transfers their investments through Edelweiss. right? So what is this finance and investment bootcamp and why should you do it, right? So number one, it will make you learn all the basics, like, how to trade, how to invest, what are the avenues to invest, what is the demat account, how to open it, trades कैसे जाते हैं, etc etc. वो जो भी पूरा, the basic knowledge is there, it covers that. Second, it teaches you like how to manage money, okay, on a personal level. So it covers concepts like time value of money, personal finance, trading versus investing, what is better for you, how should you choose, etc. And it covers a plethora of practical skills as well, right? So it covers the basics of technical analysis, so you can read a chart. It covers the basics of fundamental analysis, you can read the balance sheet, annual report, understand the ratios, what are they saying, all of that. It also covers derivatives, right? So, and also let me reinforce that all of this is completely practical. Like, there is no textbook, there is no mugging up, it's all real examples. So when you will be learning technical analysis over here, we'll actually open charts of Reliance, we'll open charts of Airtel and show you like, this is what it is, this is what it means. We'll actually open an annual report for a company and see what it means, right? So things like that. Okay, so this again is 20 plus hours of learning, where it follows the same format, hybrid format. So all your learning lectures are pre-recorded. You can access them anytime, anywhere, on any device. You will be having weekly live doubt solving sessions. So doubt solving sessions for this course will happen once a week. Okay. And the timings for the doubt solving session for both the courses will not clash with your college. They will be in the evenings. Okay. And obviously we'll give a break for Diwali, so you don't have to worry for Diwali, right? And again, the same thing, right? So the course starts from 25th of October, closes or finishes on 21st of November, but you will have access to it for 6 months on our portal. You will have access to the videos, you will have access to the assignments, you will have access to our assignment solutions, as well as you will have access to all the live doubt solving session recordings as well. Okay, so it's like you can revisit the course completely anytime during the 6 month period, right? Again, jointly certified with HR College and LEAPUP. They've gone through the curriculum and everything and they've vetted it. They feel that these are the skills that first years, second years, and third years should be developing on priority. So that is why they have, asked us to roll these out. Now, normally we sell similar courses, okay? But HR College has been very clear that we have to offer a price which is lower than other students, and they have been able to negotiate a good price with us. So normally we sell all these courses at 5,000, okay? But for HR College students, for these batches, they are available only for 3,000 plus GST. Okay. So both these courses are starting from 25th of October. So you can, today's 21st, you have 4 days, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay. You have 4 days, register yourself, get this great price and start developing your skills. Okay. So again, I'm mentioning this price of 3,000 plus GST is only applicable to HR College students, right? No one else. Okay. So that is about me. And thank you so much. I think I rather hope that this was helpful for y'all and y'all enjoyed this and it gives you more clarity. You can subscribe to us on Instagram, YouTube, etc. and stay updated with our content. You can connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I talk to a lot of students on LinkedIn. Just search for Ronak Gala and I will be happy to answer a few queries. And that's it for today's session. I'm just going back to this particular slide. Okay. And now I will be opening up the entire orientation for questions. So in case you have any questions, queries, doubts, you can ask. You can also unmute yourself and ask questions. right? So I have like 10 minutes for Q&A. So in case
Oh,
there are any questions, please ask.
uh, yes, hello.
Yes. Hi, Kushi. Yes, tell me.
Am I audible? So, sir, as you said, I'm a third year BCom student and I'm pursuing CA. I'm currently interning with PwC in the audit department. So, as you said that, I'll probably most probably get an audit job or a direct tax job, which I'm not interested in actually. I want a hardcore finance job. So, the
Right.
financial courses. So, is it necessary that if I want to go into investment banking or something, or become a financial analyst, is it necessary that I have to have a CFA degree or an MBA in finance from a prestigious institute, or these soft skills are going to help me get a job?
You don't need an additional degree. CA is more than enough. I told you you have to choose any one of the three, right?
Okay.
CA, CFA, MBA. Ideally, one is enough. Uh, Two is better. I won't disagree to that, but one is enough. Like I have so many CA friends. Like I'm from NM, so like HR, everyone in NM does CA, right? So I have so many friends who are into proper investment banking or working for a VC fund or something like that with just a CA degree. In fact, a lot of these funds will prefer CAs over CFAs and MBAs. Because they know that CA students can work hard, right? So I think CA is enough, but you definitely need to develop your skills. Otherwise, you will be stuck.
And so, what extra reading material suggest to enhance my finance knowledge?
Start reading investment books, trading books. Like if you want to get into investments as a career,
Yeah.
you should, like, it's a no-brainer, right? Start reading books on investments. So you can start with any book by Peter Lynch, who's a legendary investor, any book by so Warren Buffett writes one letter to his shareholders every year. Now there are more than 50 such letters. Read those, right? Like you start from there, and then of course there are a lot of other books.
Okay, sir. And so the first course, that investment course that you're offering.
Khushi, I could not, I think your voice broke. Let Khushi come back. I think she's having some troubles with
Sir,
the internet.
am I audible?
Yeah, Khushi, tell me.
So I'm asking that the course that is specifically designed for the first year students, can the third year students also enroll in it? So, starting from the basics will be better for us.
Uh, I ठीक है, मतलब if you feel like you want to enroll, you enroll. That's completely fine. Like I will not stop you, but it's designed to be basic. So if you feel that you need the basics in, then you can enroll.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Someone else had a question. Someone raised their hand.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Anshul. Tell me.
Hi. So I just want to ask that is it compulsory to do CA? Means if we want knowledge of finance and if we do MBA, then it would be better or to do CA.
I told you it's either of the three. You do CA, you do CFA, you do MBA in finance. Opportunities will come.
So yeah, basically I just want to ask this only because my many friends they are saying just that means if you do like CA you will get more knowledge, but even I know that if I do MBA in finance I will get better equal knowledge from means what a CA will get.
Knowledge wise, any of these three degrees will work for you. That's completely
Because
fine.
I am passionate about MBA more than CA. So that's
It's
why.
okay. कर लो MBA अच्छी कॉलेज से.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Chirag is asking, sir, will finance and investment bootcamp also include futures and options? Yes, there is a segment on derivatives for in that. All right. Any other queries, questions?
Sir,
Yes, Maisha.
finance course won't cover any financial modeling or valuation at all.
No.
And someone asked about FNO. So even put or hedge funds will be covered.
Hedge funds is different. So hedge fund is nothing but a see, what is a hedge fund? Hedge fund is essentially a collective, a pool, right? that, you know, big investors pool in big money and then they give it to someone to manage. That's a hedge fund. The difference between a mutual fund and hedge fund is that hedge funds have more freedom compared to mutual funds, right? So that is something that so it won't cover hedge funds because it's just a pooling mechanism, but it will cover futures and options basics, right? So understanding what it is, how, what are the margins, how is it used, like the basics. Okay, you know, if you feel a stock price is going to go up, should you go long on a call or short on a put, whatever, right? So those kind of things it will
Yeah.
cover.
And in the presentation, it also said that it includes technical analysis. So that means they would, like, you would explain to us what are, like, candles and stuff.
Right, like the basics of it, yes. Like what is a candlestick? What does it mean? Open, high, low, close कैसे map होता है? So color कैसे होता है? You know, just like you will understand how to read a chart.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So one more question.
Yes.
Is it means is it compulsory to do if we want to do MBA, then it's compulsory to do BMS or BBS, somewhat like that degree, or if we are doing BCom, that's also okay means.
It's okay. I have done BCom and then I did MBA. MBA वाले थोड़ी रोकते हैं. Just तुमको CAT का preparation अच्छा करना पड़ेगा. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
ठीक है? All right. Someone is asking also, can you suggest some courses related to quantitative finance? So we have a course called Python for Finance. It's there on the LeapUp website. And then there are some other courses which are, I think, more in-depth and super expensive, but there is something called as Quantify Capital, something like that. They run a good course, I think, in quantitative finance. Chirag is asking, FY course will include only basics or advanced too? It will be basics. Like that is why it is for first years, right? It will include basics. What else? Other queries, questions?
At the end of the course, do we get like a certificate or something?
Yes, of course. I told you you'll receiving a joint certificate with LeapUp and HR, right? Which you can put it on your CV, etc. Even LeapUp is hiring undergrad students from HR college. Yes, last year we hired one person from HR college. Also, can you suggest courses for financial modeling? Buddy, I just told you we have a course on financial modeling and valuation, right? That's the course I will suggest. What else? So just one thing, I think I did not mention it previously. So like at least the course on financial modeling and valuation, it is one of our best-selling courses. Okay, like I have been teaching modeling since now around 3 years now. I have a lot of students. So the way we have designed the financial modeling and valuation course, you see, what have I written? I've written complete and comprehensive, right? So financial modeling is a skill which you need to master with varied examples, right? So basically, अगर आप एक technology firm का modeling करते हैं, manufacturing firm is very different, bank is very different, startup is very different, right? So if you want to master the skill, you need to actually during the learning period only work on multiple sectors, etc., right? And that is the way we have designed this course, right? Like it's not like we'll help you make one model and be done with it. No, we'll be making 3 different models, 3 different valuations. In the bonus you'll be getting startup content and M&A and everything, right? So I've chosen these words very carefully, that it's a complete and comprehensive course, right? So you learn this, it's enough. Like that is it. You can move on to the next set of skills, right? Anyways, Anivesh is asking, sir, does the course include indicators like RSI? Yes, it does. Anika is asking, will doing an MBA in finance and CFA level 3 be beneficial, or just CFA level 3 be enough? Like will doing MBA along with CFA make me stand out? Anika, the answer to this lies in what kind of MBA do you do? If you can do MBA from the top 15, 20 colleges of India, it will be an add-on to your CFA level 3. If you feel you can't crack through those top 10, 15, then doing an MBA will not add any value. The CFA is already more valuable, right? So it depends on what kind of college can you crack. What else? Any other queries, questions? Pankaj is asking, is MBA India or abroad worth more? Ideally, again, see, guys, you have to understand, unlike CA or CFA, like if someone clears CA, all CAs are looked at equally, right? If someone clears CFA, all CFAs are looked at equally. MBA is very dependent on your college. Like all MBAs are not looked at the same, right? It's the same like you did your BAF from HR college, NM college, you will be looked at differently compared to some other college, right? So it's very dependent on the college. So again, MBA from India or abroad, the answer is like which college do you realistically have a chance? So if you say that in India you're getting something like a ISB or a any of the top 15, 20, and over there you're getting something like Duke or something, obviously the Indian MBA is more valuable, right? So it again depends on college. Like in MBA, everything starts and ends from which college you are doing it from, right? Berkeley is good. I would say it's like I would still prefer doing from a top 15, 20 in India compared to Berkeley, right? Because it's costly as well. Berkeley is private. Anyways, Symbiosis is good in India. Like, so again, Symbiosis, you have to understand, Symbiosis has many MBAs. So their main flagship MBA is SIBM, which is good, like which is in that tier 1 list, right? Sir, could you provide a small mentorship counseling session for career in finance on a personalized basis? Krish, my partner does that, Harshit. If you want, drop me a message. I'm there on WhatsApp group. I'll connect you with him. So professional counselor, he'll help you out, right? Which causes more benefit to MBA students, CFA or CFP? CFA any day. Like CFP, I don't know. It's not any way comparable to CFA. All right. So I think someone from my team has already put in the link to register for the FM course for HR. We will also be sending these links on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So in case you want to register, please do. Sir, how is MBA from NMIMS? It's great. I'm an alumnus of NMIMS Mumbai. It's brilliant. It's one of the best in Mumbai, and I think top 15, 20 in India for sure, as of now, right? The only drawback is NMIMS does not have a campus. So if you're from Bombay, it's just like going to college, right? So you miss out on the whole experience of having a campus and all, but that's about it. Vishaka, can we pursue, what can we pursue along with ACCA? Along with ACCA, again, the idea is you start building your skills. Like ACCA is a degree in itself. So don't pursue anything along with it. Focus on ACCA and start building your skills. That would be my suggestion. All right. So finance and investment bootcamp also, we've shared the link. Okay. So please ensure that you guys register for these courses and take advantage of this opportunity that is given by your college. I think my time is up. So I'll be taking the last few questions. MSc or MBA? Again, depends on what you want to do in life. If you want to do quantitative finance, then MSc, otherwise MBA. Jayati, could you please tell me how to get a good CAT score and get into a top MBA college? Practice. That's the only thing I can tell you. Practice is something that will make you better at CAT, nothing else. Anivesh, can you tell that is doing FRM is great? See, understand, unlike your CA, CFA, and MBA, which are more generic finance courses, so you can work in a variety of profiles and companies if you do these courses. FRM is very specific. It's like a niche that you are only doing a course to go get into risk. So if you are prepared to take that call today, that okay, my whole career I will only work in risk and nothing else, and that is what I want to do in life, then FRM is a good course. If you want more options in finance, then FRM is not a good course. So that is the idea behind FRM. It's super specialization only in financial risk, not in finance. Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully this was a good learning experience for you, and looking forward to see everyone in the courses. Anivesh, you just said investment banking ? I don't know what does that mean. I'm assuming you're asking how to get into investment banking. It's the same. There is no secret sauce, right? There is no secret. It is the same. Get a good qualification. It can be either CA, CFA, MBA. Get the skill sets, be passionate, you'll make it to investment banking, right? That is it. That's the process. There is no other process, right? I know investment bankers who are CA. I know investment bankers who are CFA. I know investment bankers who are MBAs. Any of these qualifications will help you, but importantly, along with the qualification, get your skill sets up, create something which you can present, create something which you can send to people that here, listen, look at me, this is my skills. Okay, this is what I can do, right? And that is why you should hire me. That should be the idea. All right, thank you so much. Thank you everyone, and I'll end the call now. Thank you.